Welcome in, Minnesota high school football fans. I'm here with the White Bear Lake head football coach, Coach Bartlett. Coach Bartlett, how are you doing today?
Good. How's it going?
It's going good. Early
Yep,
August, that's the time when things ramp up for you and me. So
for sure.
your responsibilities are a lot different than mine, but still fun regardless. Just talk about your career arc, and I know you have a unique battle to share, and I kind of want to hear that, kind of what you went through uh, recently at White Bear with your battle. But just talk about your career arc. How did you get into coaching from the start? Just give me the Spark Notes version of it.
Yeah. So, about a year or two after high school, the head coach, the guy who coached me in high school, position coach, recommended me to. They had a spot open, and so the head coach at Irondale asked me if I'd be interested in coaching. So I did. End up coaching receivers at Irondale. Then I got promoted the offensive coordinator. It was 3 years in to that. Did that for a few years. Then I got the head coaching job at Armstrong um, in 2009. Did that for 3 years, and then got the White Bear job in 2012. So started coaching really young. Um,
Did you
so
know
I've
you
been.
wanted to get into coaching, or did it kind of just
I thought so, but it just kind of happened quick.
Yep.
They needed someone, and I was like, "Yeah, I can do that," or I'd be interested in that. And then it's kind of one of those deals where I think most of the coaches would tell you it kind of becomes kind of like an addiction, or like a once you do it, you just kind of like, man, this is awesome. And so, yeah, it just becomes what you do, kind of who you are a little bit. So,
Yeah. Talk about your battle with cancer and how that's kind of shaped you. I've read and watched a couple of videos on it, but I just want to hear it from you. And for somebody that might not be in the White Bear program, they might not even know about it.
yeah, in 2018, I got diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. I went into the doctor a few times, sent me back. Third time, felt something on my neck that wasn't good. They said you got stage 4 cancer. So I did 12 rounds of chemotherapy. I did the last four during the season, which was tough. Chemo has a kind of a cumulative effect on you, kind of like the heat, like it takes a toll. So those last couple during this season were hard. But I did 12 rounds of chemo. Was possibly going to have to do some radiation or proton therapy at Mayo because the tumor was 9.8 centimeters. At 10 centimeters, it's mandatory. So it's kind of like a doctor's call.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got rid of it in the four treatments, but they still made me do the 12. But yeah, it was in six spots. Um,
And were you
Pretty
coaching
shocking.
throughout this like process, or did you take a step away from the program, or
You know, I initially, yeah, but it was in the spring, which is probably the slowest time of coaching.
right?
But I missed 3 days of the Stillwater game week because I was in the hospital. I had to have a surgery, and I missed one other day. I didn't miss that much, to be honest with you. And honestly, not because I'm like super tough or anything. It was kind of therapeutic to go
Right. It's
because
like
it
an
was like the
outlet.
one thing I could do that wasn't had to do with cancer. It was
Yeah.
like the kids cared, but like they're playing football. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want
Hmm.
to talk about it with them. Like they didn't need to take that on. So it was like good for me to do something else. And that was like one of the first questions I asked him. Like, can I coach football? He's like, yeah, if you're feeling good. I'm like, okay, okay. So no, I just kind of kept going. I mean, there were different things. Maybe I slept in a few more times at weights and stuff like that in the summer.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it helped me get through it.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense, and I completely get the outlet aspect of just needing, and it's really just a cool story to hear. And this might tie into, but like your coaching philosophy and what culture you're trying to um, really put on your program, because every coach is kind of posed at that, and maybe that's shifted from your time even starting as a head coach to now. But I guess where does it sit right now?
I think I think the biggest thing is we want to use football to help these kids navigate their lives and their future lives. I think, anyone who's played it, I think football's like, there's so much relatable that you go through in football and life. And I think how you shape that and how you use that. And of course, we're going to teach football and care about football way more than we probably should at times. And that's okay. Like, we all really want to invest it in this, right? And we take it serious, which is good. But I think you got to use the moments that come up and relate them to life as much as possible. We talk about all the time. It's about how you react and it's about how you respond. And that's life, right? Like, anything that happens to us personally or professionally, our response is the most important thing. We can't always control what's going to happen. We can't always control the breaks in life. We can't always, and so it's the response and how you handle it and what you do with it. That's what we try to do a lot of. And we're really honest with our players. Like, we'll tell kids exactly where we're at. We'll give them very honest feedback. Their feedback to me has always been, we appreciate that. We're pretty straight shooting coaching staff. And so, like, we've told kids, like, hey, you're a senior, you've done everything you can do. You're probably not going to play, but that's tough, right? But here's what you can do with this. Here's the role you can play on our team. Here's why you're important to this program. And this is what you're going to do to help us, because we need you. It's just, it might not be in the role it may be hoped or thought, but it's still going to serve a giant purpose on this team. And I think kids buy into that, and that's life, right? Like, it's not always going to go like you think. You might have this envision, I'm going to do this, but you end up doing something else for a couple of years. And it's just all about, what do I do with that information? How do I respond and take it and use it to make it the most positive it can be? So that's really kind of what we try to do, is to sum it up.
Yeah. Cool. Now, I don't know if you know this. I'm a Force Lake guy.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
I want to just, this is my thing to talk crap just for like 1 minute of this interview. Do you remember, I don't know what year it was, but I think it was my brother's senior class. This was when Force Lake was real bad. So think back to those days.
Okay.
I think we didn't win for like 4 years. And
Okay.
I think this may have been 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You guys were playing at Force Lake.
Yep.
And Force Lake beat you guys to break
Yep.
the record. And that's
Yep.
that's like a core memory of
Oh, I remember that game. Yeah.
The funny thing is you guys should have won that game, but there was a stupid flag that happened at the end. I can't remember. You probably know better than me because I was so young and kind of like there was a flag that shouldn't have went our way that kind of won us that game. That
Yeah.
probably had to just piss you off.
We scored, gosh, I think it was with 20 seconds left. It might have been more than that to win, and they called holding. But I will tell you, like, that night, I didn't sleep at all, and we lost. I think we look back. I think we lost 235 yards on special teams that night.
Mm.
So you can either blame that call or look in the mirror and go, you know what? We put ourselves in a spot that we shouldn't have been in. And Forest Lake that night played really good, and they were, they kind of smelled blood in the water, and they won. So we could blame the ref, or we could say we needed to do better. And they beat us that night, so kudos to them. That was, Coach Wilson. I think it was Coach Wilson, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh no, I remember. Thanks for reminding me.
Let's talk about current now. I guess you've had his starting a 3-year starting quarterback, if I'm correct, and now he's graduated with the spread offense. I guess what were the good things about having a quarterback come in back that you don't have to worry about? And now it's kind of the first time you've had a quarterback battle or not know who your quarterback's going to be in the offseason. Just talk about that. Yeah,
it's different. Tommy started 3 years, and that it's always kind of a security blanket when you got that, and we're going to miss him. He's probably I don't want to say he's the fastest quarterback in the state last year, but track wise, I think he probably was. And he was such a good kid and a good leader that, you just kind of got used to seeing him back there playing quarterback for us. So it'll be different. We got a senior and a junior battling out right now. I'm pretty sure our whole league, no one returns their quarterback. Which is
in your section, I think Park is the only one, and he was
Park's a 3-year guy. Yep, sorry, that's right. But yeah, so it'll be different. But yeah, it's, we'll miss Tommy a lot, but yeah, it's always exciting to have a battle. And we got, one of the things that kind of happens when you have a 3-year guy is no one really wants to go to quarterback because everyone kind of knows that, if he starts a sophomore, he's probably going to start as a junior and senior. And
Right.
so that we have a junior who's kind of been with, behind Tommy for a while here. And so, but yeah, we got a junior and a senior who both did a really good job this summer, and we'll keep that battle going into camp. But yeah, having that guy, you kind of take it for granted sometimes when you got that guy you can kind of rely on and depend on for as many years as we did.
Yeah, with the E, I mean, I kind of see the section, especially with Force Lake, graduating a lot of good pieces. You kind of see like, okay, I think Force Lake's probably gonna like should be the favorite, but
Yeah,
after that, it's kind of
yeah,
wide open, and I
yeah,
think
yeah. I think when no quarterbacks are back, and yeah, I mean, I think it's so weird. I think with the exception of a few programs in high school football, it seems like everyone has had their ups and downs. You know what I mean? Like
yep,
Minnetonka not too long ago had struggles, and now they're a top team every year. I mean, I
hmm
think there's a few programs that haven't had those dips, but I think it's just that, right? Like you have a 3-year starter, and then you go to a new guy, and then if you get it's just so much can happen, and we're all, I think every guy will. I don't every guy, but everyone will talk about their depth a lot. Like everyone's an injury or two away from their season changing. So I'm with you. I think Forest Lake definitely. That old line's back and their running back's back, and but yeah, it'll be an interesting year, that's for sure.
What was the story just of last year in your perspective, from not an outside perspective, but just kind of what did you see from last year's team kind of carrying over?
You know, it's you'll hear coaches say this all the time. You obviously we could have won 3 or 4 more games, but I think we're up 20-6 on Woodbury in the third quarter and lose. We get out and we're ahead of Stillwater and we lose.
It was
We're
a
down to
Farmington game, I think you
Yeah,
got
it was 12-6. We had the ball first and 10 on the
pick six.
12, and then
Yeah,
we throw a 101-yard pick six. Like,
yeah,
so what you can take from that is you're right in games, right? But what you also have to be honest and take from that is we didn't finish any games. And so you got to look at why that happened. And I think we were just a play or two away at times from the tide of our season changing. But we just didn't take advantage of it a few times when we really could have. When we had, Eastridge, I think in Eastridge, we rushed for, I think it was 250 or 265 yards and lost. I think Brian White had 2 games over 200 yards that we lost. And so it's like, that tells you you're competing, that tells you you're right there. But then it also says, we obviously got to do some things to finish these games out or, make a couple more plays, and your whole season can shift when that happens. It's that delicate, that thin of a line, I think, a lot of times.
one of the things that I like most about your program, I guess, is the sophomores, or I guess they'll be juniors this year, but that class, I think you guys have a really strong class of just athletes, whether it's Stuckey corner, White, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
Brown at receiver, but I think there's a ton of talent coming up through the pipeline that I think is actually going to be on display Friday nights. Just talk about that group of guys.
Are you talking about the to be sophomores?
Yeah, I think they'll be
Well,
juniors. I think it's just overall. I mean, crop of young guys. I've seen them at
yeah.
seven
So
on
our
sevens.
sophomore team went 8-0 last year.
Yep.
Yeah, that Stuckey's in that group. Yeah, that they had a great year. Solid class. They didn't, they won a lot of close games. They kind of did the opposite of our varsity, where like they were there and then they would like make that play. You know what I mean,
Yep.
to win. But yeah, then we started 2 freshmen on varsity last year, so Byron and Antonio will be sophomores. But yeah, our young kids, there's some good talent there. And like I said, there's our sophomore team was for a sophomore team. Usually, when it's like a freshman or sophomore team, there's some holes because it's one grade, right? That's why when you get to varsity, there's 2 grades you kind of
And the
film where,
sophomore team, the good guys are going to get pulled up.
yeah, and
Maybe.
they didn't. They were just solid everywhere. They really didn't have any massive hole anywhere. I think that really helped. And their quarterback Chase Bachmeyer had a really good year. RJ Stuck, he had a good year. But yeah, there's just a lot of good players in our younger levels that are exciting. And yeah, some of them will be up on varsity, and some were up last year. And yeah, they're good players, good kids.
I'm really excited to see how you guys do. Do you set expectations going into a season? What's your kind of mindset going into this season?
You know what we talk about. I never. I don't know if other coaches do. I don't usually put like a record on things just because I don't think that helps them. I think what helps them is you talk about what does this team need to do to be successful, right? And like we're not a college, so I think sometimes people confuse that like, well, it's last year you were this and well next year you should be this. Well, it's high school, right? We're not recruiting, so it's what is this team this year? What are we good at? What are we deficient at? What does this team need to do to, in our deficiencies, how do we make up for them? And then what are we good at? And how do we use those? And then you just talk about if we do that, we're going to have a chance to win every week, we feel like. But if we don't, then we can lose every week. 6A football, you know this, that all the teams better than I do. Everyone is pretty good. I mean, it's just changed so much. And so if if we're deficient, like we lack some size on defense, that's a deficiency. So how do we make up for that? Well, we got to be really good on our blitzes and our pressures, and we got to be really good on our arrows and our chase techniques. And if we do that, that'll help with some of that, right? And we have some speed and athleticism. So how do we get the ball to those guys? How do we make sure they're getting the touches they need? How do we make sure we're getting them in space as much as possible? And I think you want them to focus on that stuff, because if they do that, then that should lead to winning. I think if you just talk about winning, they're like, well, how do we do that? And I think PJ Fleck says that more games are lost than won. And it's true. Like, how do we not beat ourselves? I think in high school football, the teams that do not beat themselves do the best typically every year. I think the top programs do that consistently.
Well, thanks, Coach. I can't wait to watch you guys. I think you guys can make some noise. And
Yeah, I'm
your
excited.
Penn
Yeah, we
State
hope
has
so.
those
We're
players.
pumped, man. We're ready to roll. So,
Thanks for taking the time.
yeah, thank you.